Welcome to the Explainer. Let's jump right in, because today we're looking at what is literally one of the most unbelievable sports stories in modern history. I want you to picture the scene for a second. It's MetLife Stadium, summer of 2026. The confetti is raining down on the pitch, flashbulbs are going off everywhere, and the World Cup trophy is being hoisted high into the air. But the man lifting it, well, he isn't who anyone expected. Today, we're breaking down the meticulously crafted master plan of Luis de la Fuente, the coach nobody bet on, who just shocked the globe and became a world champion. Here's the thing about this guy. He's 64 years old. He's absolutely not Jose Mourinho. He's not Pep Guardiola. He doesn't have the blockbuster brand name. He doesn't have millions of social media followers. And you definitely won't see him giving explosive, headline-grabbing press conferences. But he just won the biggest prize in global sports, the World Cup. The jarring contrast between his total lack of superstar status and this monumental achievement is exactly why we need to unpack how he pulled this off. So, how on earth did a man flying completely under the radar reach the absolute pinnacle of world football? Section 1. Rock bottom in 2022. To really wrap our heads around the triumph of 2026, we have to rewind back to December 2022. Right, so in late 2022, Spain was reeling. They had just suffered a devastating penalty shootout loss to Morocco, and their superstar manager, Luis Enrique, suddenly resigns and just walks away from the federation. Now, typically in world football, when a big name leaves, a federation goes into full panic mode, right? They usually just throw bags of cash at an even bigger, flashier name. But Spain actually took a totally different path here. They didn't chase a superstar, they promoted from within. They literally handed the keys to Luis de la Fuente, a former Athletic Bilbao left back who had spent years just quietly grinding it out in the youth ranks. At the time, it looked like a massive, massive gamble. Section 2. Building from the youth up. Because, as we're about to see, this wasn't really a gamble at all. It was the activation of a structural master plan. See, De La Fuente wasn't just some random youth coach babysitting teenagers. He sequentially dominated every single youth level over nearly a decade. Look at this run. In 2015, he wins the Under-19 Euros. Fast forward to 2019, he captures the Under-21 Euros. And then, he takes the team to Tokyo and secures an Olympic silver medal. He wasn't just managing these youth squads, he was actively building, testing, and refining the exact senior team that he would eventually inherit. And that brings us to his true superpower, his players and his system. Because he spent a whole decade in those youth ranks, he developed this deeply ingrained generational system around a core trio of just phenomenal talents. We're talking lamine, yamal, pedri, Gavi. These aren't just guys he met at some senior training camp a few weeks before a major tournament. No, these are players who literally grew up inside his specific tactical architecture. They basically knew exactly what he wanted before he even opened his mouth to ask for it. Section 3. An unstoppable record run. That foundational youth connection sparked a blazing trail of senior dominance that nobody saw coming. This youth foundation built an absolute juggernaut on the senior stage. Step 1. Almost immediately upon taking over, he secures the 2023 Nations League title. That right there proves his system works at the highest level. But Step 2? Step 2 is where it gets downright terrifying for the rest of the world. Euro 2024. Spain doesn't just win the tournament. They go entirely unbeaten. 7 wins out of 7 matches. Absolute perfection. The momentum they had heading into the 2026 World Cup was just undeniable, fueled entirely by the chemistry he had been brewing since those guys were kids. Which brings us to the 2026 World Cup itself, and the most important number you need to remember from that entire tournament is this. 1. 1. That's it. Spain conceded just one single goal during the entire 2026 tournament. As the record books now state, it is the fewest goals conceded by a World Cup winner ever. I mean, wow. This isn't just a win, it is a historic defensive masterclass. And honestly, it proves the utter brilliance of his systemic architecture. You don't break a record like that by simply throwing a bunch of talented players onto a pitch and hoping for the best. You achieve that through a decade of shared tactical understanding, where every single player knows their exact defensive responsibility in a deeply ingrained system. Section 4. Cementing a historic legacy. All of that preparation, all of those years grinding in the youth ranks, all led to one defining match against the defending champions, Argentina, in the 2026 final. Picture the tension for a second. It's the World Cup final against Argentina. The game is locked in this grueling, totally exhausting stalemate. The crowd is holding its breath. We are deep into extra time. And then, in the 106th minute, the breakthrough happens. Ferran Torres strikes. That single moment, that extra time winner, sent the Spanish sideline into absolute delirium and instantly secured Luis de la Fuente's place in the pantheon of football greatness. Let's just summarize exactly what this man has achieved, because the stats are pretty staggering when you lay them out. At 64 years old, he's officially the oldest coach to ever win a World Cup. In just 4 years at the senior level, he has captured 2 major trophies, and the Spanish Federation, clearly realizing the absolute genius of their internal promotion, has securely locked him down with a contract that runs straight through Euro 2028. The man they said wasn't a big name now has his name permanently etched onto the most coveted trophy on planet Earth. Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative question. Does football actually need more flashy superstar managers with massive egos and astronomical salaries, or does it just need better architects? Men who are willing to grind in the shadows, build from the youth up, and trust in a decade-long system over a quick fix? Luis de la Fuente proved that sometimes the safest bet of all is the coach nobody else was betting on. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this changes how you view the people calling the shots from the sidelines.